Hello everyone, welcome back to the session. So we are now heading towards the new chapter which is about the Union Executive. But before we move on to this new chapter, I will briefly tell you about the parliamentary system. So we will very briefly quickly see what the parliamentary system is, and we will see some of its features, merits, etc. As you know, Indian Constitution provides for parliamentary system of government. So this is applicable both at the center and the states. So both the center and the states have parliamentary form of government. And the parliamentary system of government is one in which the executive is responsible to the legislature for its policies and actions. Now we have already seen many a times what the executive is and what the legislature is. Executive is a body which comprises both the Council of Ministers and the bureaucrats. So they are the Council of Ministers will be the temporary executive, whereas the bureaucrats will belong to the category called the permanent executive. And legislature is the lawmaking body which comprises both the houses of the parliament. Now, this arrangement is called, this system is called parliamentary system of government. Most democracies in the world either follow the parliamentary system or the presidential system, and we have chosen the parliamentary system. Now, parliamentary system is known by various names in various parts. We call it the parliamentary system, sometimes the prime ministerial form of government, sometimes the cabinet form of government, and it's even called Westminster form of government. Sometimes even called responsible government. It's called responsible because here the executive is responsible to the legislature, which means the cabinet or the council of ministers, is responsible to the legislature, the lawmaking body. Okay, so they are in power only as long as they enjoy the confidence of the legislature. That's why we call it a responsible form of government. The council of ministers, they're accountable to the legislature. Now we call it Westminster form of government because that's the location. This place is the location of the British Parliament, which is considered like the mother of parliaments. Now coming to the features of parliamentary system of government, number one is that in parliamentary system we have a nominal executive and a real executive. As the term indicates, nominal executive means they are only titular in nature. See, for example, in the Indian context, president is the nominal executive and prime minister is the real executive. So nominal executive means they are only nominal or titular, and president do not have those real powers, whereas prime minister has real powers in him. So that's the reason why we call it prime ministerial form of government, because more powers are with the prime minister. And then it's the second feature is it goes by the majority party rule, which means that whichever is the party that gets majority in the election, they get the chance to form the government. So their leader becomes the prime minister and they form the government. So we have majority party rule in parliamentary system. Next is collective responsibility. This is a term that you must be already familiar with. So collective responsibility means the Council of Ministers will be collectively responsible to the legislature. So Council of Ministers, whatever the Council of Ministers do, they are collectively responsible for it. They swim together, they sink together. Okay, so that's a major feature of parliamentary democracy. Next is political homogeneity. See, because most often you have members of the same party coming together in the Council of Ministers, which gives the council a political homogeneity. Even when we have coalition governments, yes, we have people, coalition governments, we have people from other party also becoming part of the Council of Ministers. But even then, there is political homogeneity to an extent, because your collating partners will be those, will be from such parties with which you are ideologically, you have an ideological sync, there's an ideological similarity. So there's a political homogeneity. Next is double membership. Now, what is double membership here? See, I told you, executive, there are two types. The permanent executive, let's not consider them for now. We are taking the temporary executive, which is the Council of Ministers. So, Council of Ministers, they are part of the executive and the legislature both. So, this gives them a double membership, or they are part of the executive and the legislature both. And now this leads to greater cooperation between the executive and the legislature. Now, how are the Council of Ministers part of the executive and the legislature both? See, Council of Ministers, when when they are a minister, they are part of the executive, and when they are in the house, they are part of the house or the legislature, as well as they represent the executive. Okay, so that's the reason I said they are part of both the executive and the legislature. Next is leadership of the Prime Minister. See, in parliamentary system of government, the Prime Minister has a great role to play. He is a very influential figure. He's got a lot of powers with him. Now he is a leader of the majority party. He is the leader of the parliament. He is the real executive. So in all ways, Prime Minister has a great leadership role to play. Next is dissolution of the lower house. Lower house here is the Lok Sabha. Lower house means the Lok Sabha. So dissolution of the Lok Sabha. So the Prime Minister can always advise the dissolution of Lok Sabha to the President. And President can act on the advice of the Prime Minister, and he can dissolve the Lok Sabha. So 5 years is not a guaranteed tenure. So these are some of the major features of parliamentary system of government. Now we also have to see some of the merits and demerits of the parliamentary system. Number one, it ensures, we are looking at the merits. The merit number one is it ensures harmony between the legislature and the executive. See, how is this harmony between legislature and executive ensured? Because we have Council of Ministers who actually act as a link between the executive and the legislature, which ensures that there is greater harmony between the legislature and the executive. Next is responsible government. See, parliamentary system of government is also called responsible form of government, because the executive or the ministers, they are responsible to the parliament, or responsible to the legislature for all their acts of omission and commission, which means they are responsible for whatever they do and whatever they fail to do. Next is parliamentary system of government can prevent despotism to an extent, because under parliamentary system the executive authority is vested in a group of people, in the Council of Ministers, and not in a single individual. So this to an extent can prevent despotism. Moreover, they are responsible to the parliament, they are accountable to the parliament. That also acts as a check on the excessive use of power by the ministers. Next is, you always have a ready alternative government in parliamentary system. Now, what is this ready alternative government? See, in case the ruling party loses its majority, the head of the state can invite the opposition party to form of government, provided they prove their majority. So, whenever the ruling party loses its majority in the house and they are thrown out of power, the president can always call the next party in line, the opposition party, to form the government. So they can form the government as long as they prove the majority in the floor of the house. And again, they give wide representation. The parliamentary system gives wide representation Why? Because you know, the council of ministers are a group of people drawn from various categories of of the nation. They come from various states, various groups of people, various sections, and sometimes even belonging to various parties. So these are some of the merits of the parliamentary system. Now, moving on to the demerits of the parliamentary system. First of all, there is a chance that the government is quite unstable. We have had so many examples in history where the governments have not completed the whole 5 years. For example, the A.B. Vajpayee government or the V.P. Singh government. So many examples we have had where the government could not complete the whole 5 years, because you know that the government will be ruling only as long as they enjoy the majority in the house. So the moment they lose the majority, the moment they lose the confidence of the house, they are out of power. Demerit is that there is no continuity of policies. As you know, sometimes the government do not complete the whole 5 years, or even otherwise, even if they do complete the 5 years, the next government can have a total reversal of policies, so which affects the continuity of policies in the state. Sometimes there are total reversal of policies. One might have totally socialistic policies, whereas the other government might go for total liberal capitalist policies. So this is one major disadvantage or demerit. Next is that dictatorship of the cabinet, because when the ruling party enjoys absolute majority in the parliament, the cabinet shows a tendency to be autocratic, and they tend to exercise too much powers. The cabinet becomes too powerful. Another demerit is that they are against the principle of separation of powers. See, just now we saw that the Council of Ministers, they are part of both the executive and the legislature. But according to the principle of separation of powers, which we follow, whoever is part of the executive should not be part of the legislature, because they are totally two different bodies independent of each other. You know that we have three organs of the government, the parliament, the executive, legislature, and the judiciary. So all the three are supposed to be separate, enjoying separate, different set of powers. They're not supposed to be meddling with each other's affair. But here we see that the Council of Ministers, they are part of both the executive and the legislature, which actually goes against the principle of separation of powers. So these are some of the major demerits of the parliamentary system of government. So hope things are all clear. So see you in the next class.